What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido arc chapter 33 discussion. Okay, guys, as you guys know, this chapter was all about Kanryu Takeda and his redemption. Okay, the very ending of the chapter was kind of funny, but also it had kind of this deeper kind of meaning to it, and I felt it was very interesting. The idea of Gato Ringu, his alias all along was Gato Ringu, and he just happens to find a Gatling gun on the battlefield in the heat of the moment where he's fighting in the battle with Honda. And he's not alone, he's fighting with Iran. They're together. So that's development already. He's already fighting with someone else. He's relying on others. So that's interesting. But not only that, when he sees the Gatling gun, it's like his former self. It's like a symbol of himself. It's like a symbol of the past. And so he's using that symbol. He wants to be that person one last time. The person that used to do illegal things, to show destruction, to be invincible, to defeat the enemy. But it's not alone. He doesn't do things on his own. He's not selfish. He's relying on his student, his disciple, Iran. We see him they're in sync. They're fighting together. And that was really nice to see. And so you got the past, Gatoringu, you got the present, Kanryu Takeda, which we now know had nothing to begin with. And then you have the future, Iran Inoue, the next generation he's trying to mentor. So you get to see that all culminate into one chapter. And it was really great to see. So some things I want to further discuss in this chapter, about this chapter, that I'm going to talk about now. Why develop a character like Kanryu Takeda? Why develop him? When you have characters like Sojiro. Okay, Sojiro is such an interesting character. Okay, like Anji. Okay, Anji's such an interesting character, right? He had a great backstory. Well, there you go. Both of these characters had backstories, okay? We learned about them. We cried about we were sad about their upbringing, about what happened to them. That's what made us feel for them, But Kanryu, we didn't know about. So he is unknown. We only assumed that Kanryu, was this entitled rich person that only cared about himself and money. Now, yes, he does care about money, but the reasoning is different. He was an opium and weapons dealer. He did bad things, yes. He even killed the Oniwaban group. I mean, that's not a pleasant memory at all. But at the same time, it's an unknown. The backstory was never revealed. So that leaves room for redemption. Not all characters need to be redeemed, but I think Watsuki saw something in Kanryu that he liked. He saw something that was different, and he felt that it was the right thing to do, especially when he is sent to prison, because we all know that Anji was also sent to prison. So you get two characters that were sent to prison. Now, several other characters were probably sent to prison, right? But this is for sure. We know he was sent to Hokkaido. So we knew that. And we knew he killed the Oniwaban. So we knew he was going to go far away from Tokyo, I thought. But not Hokkaido. I don't think anybody thought that he was going to end up in Hokkaido. So right there, you have a connection with him being a prisoner just like Anji. So that's interesting. Now, another thing is not just the redemption, but the next generation. Okay, we're talking about Aran, Ashitaro, and Asahi. These characters were kind of things, they grew up with things they didn't have. Okay, they didn't have family. They didn't have money. These were kind of have-nots as well. So I feel like he wanted to bring in these characters to help develop other characters. So like Kenshin, for example, wants to mentor Ashitaro, and we've seen how hard on him has he's been on him. The same goes for Aran. Aran is this character that dresses like Kanryu. He has a business sense. So I feel like Kanryu saw him and, it's like, oh, I can relate to this guy. I can talk about money to him. He understands me. He's smart. He's different from the others. Maybe I can mentor him. And so that's the next generation. And that causes him to be influenced, and they kind of influence each other. So that's another reason why I feel like Kanryu was developed, because it could help develop the next generation as well. So there are a lot of reasons, but the good way outweigh the bad. Okay, yes, he's not an interesting character to begin with, but also we don't know about him, right? When we learn about him, he's more interesting. When he's connected to Iran as his mentor, it's more interesting. It's unique. It's different. So it feels very different from Kanryu Takeda, which we thought that's who he was. And it turns out that, Kanryu is someone completely different. So yeah, it's very interesting. Number two, what caused him to change? I kind of explained it a little bit here. One thing was definitely Iran in a way. When he first met Iran, he made a connection. He's able to talk to him about business, money. He understands him, and Iran is this character, by the way. And even when he talks about money, it kind of opens Iran's eyes, because, he talks about there's no discrimination when it comes to money. And it goes back on the time where Iran is being discriminated to the public, where he's revealed to be a foreigner in Japan, and he kind of relates to him in that sense. So you do see them influence each other. And you can also see Iran stand up for Kanryu, and Kanryu kind of is open, very thankful for it as well. And you can see they work very well together in the battle with Honda. So very interesting stuff. Another thing, prison. Okay, prison definitely changed him, because originally we thought Kanryu was this, really bad man, really bad guy, right? I mean, he killed the Oniwaban group. It's not a pleasant memory, right? He did illegal acts. He sold opium. He's a weapons merchant. I mean, he's a merchant of death. That's Kanryu. But when he was sent to prison, he went back to square one. He went back to who he truly was. A have-not, has nothing. So it kind of gave him the idea of, okay, this is my second chance. I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. He's always wanted to be someone more extravagant, and he's not. He grew up very poor. He had all these things happen in his life, and he's had to crawl and scrape his way to gain money and power and, all these things. So I feel like prison definitely changed him, but not just changed him, it brought him back to reality of who he truly is. And that's why when he gets out of jail, he's Gato Ringu, which is that person in the past. He wants to be that person in the past that he was. So it's kind of, he's reverting back to his former self. I know that sounds strange, but at the same time he's working for the Kinkaku Heki. He's doing illegal things again. But technically he's not, right? He's just selling, but he's not doing illegal things, but he is doing it for the bad guys. But I think once they scrape him away, when they toss him out, once they try to kill him, he realizes, oh my God, is this what I've been doing? I really need to change, especially when Kenshin saved him and said, doesn't matter who you are, I will protect you. And he's like, I would have rather died than be saved by you. You don't know who I am. This is not Kanryu Takeda. You think of me as this person, but that's not the true me. And I found that very powerful, very interesting stuff. So we see that, and I feel like Iran is one thing that changed him. Prison changed him. His time with the Kinkaku Heki changed him, especially when they try to assassinate him. And finally, Gato Ringu, when he finds it on the battlefield, that's the trigger that finally brings him back to his former self. But the same time, all that time with Iran, all that time in prison, all that time seeing the Batosai again, all come back to him. He finally realizes, I can't do this anymore. I thought I wanted to be this person, but no, I can't do this. Iran, this is not who you need to be. This is the last time. That's why he says farewell to the Gatling gun. That's why he says farewell to Gato Ringu. So I found that interesting. But yeah, that's the reason he changes. Okay, number 3. Who is Gato Ringu? Okay, I kind of explained it there. Gato Ringu literally is the former self of Kanryu, the former self that had things, extravagance, an arms dealer, an opium dealer, someone who only cared about himself. Now, Kanryu Takeda is all about making money. That is Kanryu, but it's making money. It's not necessarily having it. Okay, that's the difference between Kanryu and Gato Ringu. Now, even though Gato Ringu is not necessarily a good thing in the past, to him, it made him feel, alive. It made him feel like someone important, extravagant. It's not him. So that's why it's so important to him. That's why I feel like, it was so important to go back to the base and reclaim what's truly his, which is his true self. That's what he wanted to reclaim in this battle. So I feel like that was very important, and that's why he felt the crest is important. So at the very end, he says that my feelings for you are engraved in the crest and name of Gato Ringu. Reason why it is because that is the top, the highest part where he was, extravagant. But you all know he was at the bottom from the beginning. So his feelings, he wanted things. But it wasn't until he met Iran, until he experienced things from the Batosai, from prison, all these things culminated, and it really made him realize the real Kanryu has all been here all along. So I kind of went and kind of broke down the kanji for Kanryu Takeda. So when Gato Ringu first came out, when I first looked at the kanji, I was like, okay, this doesn't really mean anything. I wasn't really thinking about just Gato Ringu, but it was Kanryu's kanji that's the interesting part. So Kanryu's kanji, kan means appear, so appearance. Ryu means willow tree, okay, like kind of like growing anew, beginning, starting over. Ta means military, so it could be weapons, military in general. And da means rice fields. When he says my feelings are in the crest, I feel that's what he means because the crest is extravagant, okay? The crest is actually something that looks like the Toyotomi crest in the past, the Toyotomi Hideyoshi's crest. And actually, this was used by the imperial government as their seal. So, I mean, this is an extravagant thing, and I feel like maybe that's why the Kinkaku Heki also use it, because it looks beautiful. I mean, that is the whole thing. He wants to be known for being extravagant. Even though that's not himself, he wants to be known for that. But at the same time, the tree, the Empress tree, the Paulownia that's shown, he's also a tree, the character for it. And Gato Ringu, the weapon, Takeda, also stands for that. So literally, that's what he is saying. I feel like that's what he meant. There's some kind of deeper meaning there. So interesting stuff. Okay, next one. Do you think that Honda will be killed by his commander? Now, you guys remember how Ono was basically thrown aside like trash, and he was almost killed, and he is dying. Do you think that Honda will suffer the same fate as Ono? Um, or will, someone step in and kind of protect him? I don't know. I don't know. I feel like all the Kinkaku Heki is kill or be killed, so I feel like he might meet the same fate. But at the same time, we might see something different. But like I said, we might also get to learn some backstory or origin of the Kinkaku Heki when Ono reveals it to Sanosuke, so we might learn something there. Okay, the next thing. How will Saito manage to fight in Sapporo? Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about Kanryu, how about Saito? Saito, how will he manage to fight in Sapporo? Because right now he has a sling, he has a broken arm, he doesn't even have a blade, he just has a sheath, right? And we've seen the concern on Sanosuke and Kenshin and even Nagakura asking about his sword. Is he okay? What is he going to do when he's face to face with a Kinkaku Heki member or an enemy? What is he going to do? How will he manage? I feel like he still will be able to fight, but at the same time, I feel like maybe something there will happen. I noticed that Nagakura has two swords. Now, it's not uncommon for a swordsman in the Edo period to have two swords. We've seen it in the Bakamatsu, but in the Meiji era, it's kind of uncommon. I feel like that is very different. And what's interesting about this, we heard Nagakura talk about how there was this sword that he got before joining the Shinsengumi, and he presented it to, or it was before Saito joined, and he presented it to Commander Isami, and it happened to be the Nagasone Kotetsu. What if Kondo Isami gave it back to him, and that sword is the same one he is holding? He has two of them right now, and we've seen him use one of them. What if he hands Saito one of those swords, and it has that meaning behind it, and it's one of those legendary swords? Just imagine, that would be really cool. But at the same time, Saito did say he had this special connection with his previous swords, and he would be hard to adapt to them. But at the same time, that would be so interesting, because maybe we could actually see that moment again where he receives it in the we get more from Kondo Isami, so that'd be really cool. I feel like Nagakura probably will face off against a Kinkaku Heki member. What Kinkaku Heki member do you feel, or which commander do you feel will be at Sapporo? I was thinking Hyobe, the skull. Hyobe is the one that has the skull mask, and he looks pretty strong. He was talking to Fuyukai, the one with the samurai mask. Those two I could definitely see. Maybe there's even two commanders that show up at Sapporo. So it'll be very interesting to see. I feel like the next chapter we're going to get maybe a transition. I hope so, because I really want to see what's going on in Saito and Nagakura's front. What do you guys think? It could be like in the next chapter where Sano and Ono are talking. Ono reveals something about the Kinkaku Heki, but while he's revealing it, we see, Honda come back up, and we see kind of the commander show up and kind of toss him aside, kind of like Ono. And so we kind of see what he's saying and how it reflects back on his words. And maybe we even get to see something in Sapporo, and that's where we're going to start in more from this point on. Hopefully, let's hope that's the case. But I'm ready for anything. This chapter was great. I like the development of Kanryu. I just want to see Saito. I think everyone can agree with me. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed my discussion. And yeah, the next chapter will be coming on Thursday. So look forward to the next updates on my page. And yep, that's pretty much it.